Hey y'all, welcome to Pleiadian Point of View. I'm Peyton with Peyton Energetics, and I'm a Pleiadian channel and starseed coach. So in today's video, the Pleiadians wanted to talk to us about abundance, because this is one of those topics that gives us a lot of heartburn here on Earth. It affects most of us on a daily basis, and it's always helpful when the Pleiadians can help us reframe one of our trouble spots. So in today's video, they're going to give us a new way to reframe how we look at the topic of abundance. But before we jump into talking about this abundance hack, don't forget to click the subscribe button and the like button if you haven't done that yet. Now, when we talk about abundance on this planet, it is a big topic for us. It is something that touches all of us on a daily basis, and it is really one of our key struggles as humans, creating enough abundance to survive. So what the Pleiadians wanted us to understand about abundance is that when this topic comes up for most of us, we are looking at it through the lens of limitation, because most of our human experience and all of that lovely human programming we've received over our lives all comes from the perspective of lack. Because when we talk about abundance, we're almost always looking at it from the perspective of lack, or even impossibility, thinking that sure, abundance is possible for someone else, but not for me. And these energies, or the P's sometimes call them templates, of lack, of impossibility, are some of the densest on the planet. So this belief in lack of abundance runs deep here. So this is something that the P's wanted to help us reframe, because everything is just a function of what we believe about it. And whenever the subject of money comes up, most of us automatically think of lack, right? We may automatically think of all those things that we can't have but wish we could. Or we may get a little angry, a little jealous when we look at what other people have. That's also something that we do a lot of, is comparing ourselves to others. So whenever we are looking at the topic of abundance as humans, we tend to automatically come from a position of limitation. And that is just a function of our conditioning, our social programming, that abundance is limited. But guess what? That is not actually energetic fact. That is just a limiting collective belief. So the P's wanted to help us shift this a little, because when you shift your belief about abundance, you shift your reality with abundance. So the P's came up with this little exercise for me over the past week or so when I had slipped into some lack-based thinking on the topic of abundance. And none of us are immune. So when I started going into a little mental slide about abundance, the P's came in and offered me this little shift in perspective. And so what they reminded me of is that everything, as we know, is energy. And we know this, we have heard them say this 100 times, but we also know that everything in our reality is our energy. We created it. So anything that exists in what we think of as our reality was created by us from our energy. So when you think about that, an interesting thing happens. So what the P's chimed in with was to remind me that every single dollar in the world was my energy, was my creation. Every single beautiful home, every single diamond, every single gold bar, insert the sign of abundance of your choice. Every single thing that we think of as abundance in our reality is our creation, our energy. It's only our limiting beliefs that put that abundance in someone else's pocket, someone else's bank account. It's only that belief that we have that we're unworthy of abundance, that it's impossible for us to have abundance. Sure, someone else can have it, but not us. It's only our limiting beliefs that keep our creation away from us. So as the P's were saying this, I started to feel the light bulb going off, because I started to look at all the abundance in the world a little differently. Because as humans, it's very easy for us to look at signs of abundance in the world and automatically feel negative. We feel a little sad and depressed that we don't have that, a little hopeless that we don't know how we could ever have that, a little jealous or competitive at what someone else might have. But when you start to look at that through another lens as being your creation, You created that beautiful thing. You created that abundance, that money, that beautiful home, whatever it is that, lights you up. You created it and it's your energy. Otherwise, it couldn't be in your reality. What happens is you start to realize that it's all you. And whenever something is our energy, we can always call it back to us. So the P's had me start to play this little game to help me reframe how I was looking at abundance by having me do this little game of imagining that every dollar in the world I was pulling back to myself like a magnet. Because it's my energy. I created it. I can recall it. So they had me do this little game they were trying to make me laugh at the time of imagining every dollar zooming back to me, every diamond zooming back to me, every beautiful home zooming back to me. Because as you do this, and as you play this little silly game, what it does is it makes you think differently about abundance. Instead of looking at it and thinking you can't have it, which that perspective is the only thing keeping it away from you. When you start to look at it and be like, that's my creation. I made that. That is mine. And you start to play with calling it back to yourself and your imagination. What happens is it changes your perspective. And that's the only thing that's ever keeping our abundance away from us, is our belief that we can't have it, that we don't have it, that we'll never have it. Right? So once we change how we look at abundance, guess what? You change the frequency of your relationship with abundance. So they had me play this little game where I imagined I was magnetizing all the abundance in the world back to myself. And it completely changes how you feel about abundance, because you shift out of that feeling of lack, of hopelessness, of a little bit of fear. That survival energy is behind this a lot of times. And you move into feeling empowered. Because another way that we can kind of trip up as humans on this topic of abundance is when we see abundance that other people have. It can make us feel bad about ourselves, right? That someone else has it, why can't we? What's wrong with me? How did they do that? I can't do that. All of those little mental dialogues that we get into. But you flip that on its head when you look at the abundance that other people have and you celebrate it. You claim it as yours, because what happens is you change your relationship with abundance. And it was only ever our belief systems that kept it away from us in the first place. So that's just a little game you can play to help kind of reframe your beliefs around abundance, because y'all, these are beliefs that run deep. They can be very hard for us to kind of analyze our way out of. If you have ever tried to change your relationship with abundance, you know it can be challenging. It's something that a lot of us have worked on for a long time with kind of mixed results. But when you play this simple little game, and I love it when the P's give us these just tiny, simple little ways to just quickly reframe something, because all we have to do is change the belief behind it to see a different result. So just wanted to share this silly little game with you because it really can help you change your relationship with abundance. And most of us could really use that. So I hope this helps you. Let me know in the comments below, what do you want to know from the P's? Drop that in the comment box. And while you're down there, don't forget, hit the subscribe button and the like button if you haven't done that yet. I'll see you next time. Bye, y'all.